clerk will suspend. Mr. Kinzinger, you are recognized for 5 minutes to strike the last word.
Well, thank you, Madam Chair. In March 2020, as the spread of COVID-19 began accelerating in the U.S., Americans quickly came to understand just how debilitating some of our overlooked or unaddressed supply chain vulnerabilities had become. As a result of China's consolidation of vital manufacturing sectors, they were able to make threats to withhold some of these goods, and we faced a dangerous shortage of life-saving PPE, active pharmaceutical ingredients, and other critical equipment. My office started working on a comprehensive set of solutions, consulting with experts, businesses, think tanks, labor organizations, and other stakeholders. We included financial incentives, ranging from tax incentives to grants and more, to incentivize American manufacturers of critical products located in China and other countries of concern to reshore or nearshore their operations. It would also incentivize them to make changes to their operations to create flexibility in their manufacturing process and to have the capability to produce more than one critical good. To be clear, my approach was designed to address a grave national security concern, not to dole out money to businesses or unions or artificially inflate certain industries or the cost of goods, as my colleagues on the other side of the aisle seem to be doing here. However, even as a secondary concern, the economic benefits of my approach would be extraordinary. One additional benefit to my approach would be that where there is not a strong business case to bring the manufacturing back to the U.S., there are smaller incentives for those operations to be moved to the other eligible countries, including those in the Western Hemisphere, where a strengthened economy in certain neighboring countries, would provide stability and mitigate the root causes of migration to the United States. So in May of this year, after more than a year of work, we introduced H.R. 3309, the bipartisan Manufacturing Abilities Determine Economies in the Americas Act. But the work was not done. We continued talks with stakeholders in addition to the committees of jurisdiction and relevant agencies in the administration in an effort to get our bill to the best possible place. Coincidentally, it seems the administration put out its 100-day supply chain review a few weeks later in June, and many of their recommendations track closely with our bill. We thought this was good news. And as we talked with the majority side of this committee, they also expressed appreciation for our work and said they had spent recent weeks developing similar policy proposals. We said we wanted to work with them to create a bipartisan product to be included in the House response to the Senate's U.S. Innovation and Competitive Act. The majority agreed to work with us. So you can imagine my surprise when we found out they had created their own package and were trying to get it introduced before August, and we hadn't been in the loop. Despite the poor optics of this move, we didn't walk away. Things slowed down, and we did start engaging with the majority to see how we can make it a bipartisan product or a series of products. Those talks have been mostly productive since August. So you could imagine my surprise once again when we found out on Thursday that the majority would be including a skinny version of their partisan bill in the reconciliation package before us. I get it. You want to get a marker out there. You have to do it within reconciliation rules, but the policy in this subtitle is half-baked at best. More importantly, it's completely partisan. In short, moving this language as part of this package threatens to poison the well. And really, if the bipartisan discussions aren't salvaged, this committee and the House could miss a vital opportunity to make strong bipartisan policy to strengthen the nation. Missing that opportunity would put the security of our nation and our economies at further risk, the equivalent of criminal negligence for our line of work. My amendment today is an updated version of my bipartisan bill. This version removes provisions that are wholly within other communities' jurisdictions while keeping some of the most important provisions intact. Madam Chair, I am willing to withdraw my amendment. I was hoping to first seek assurances that Chairman Pallone and his staff will work closely with me and mine and Republicans on this committee to resuscitate the bipartisan talks. And I was also hoping to secure a commitment that these discussions will begin again with transparency from both sides and that the majority will make honest efforts to incorporate good policy into the package, even if it may be politically tough. But that being that he's not in the chair, I suppose I will have to seek those offline after the markup. So with that, Madam Chair, I withdraw my amendment in the hope that the chairman will work with me on this vital project again soon, and I yield back.
Mr. Kinzinger, before you withdraw it, Ms. Blunt Rochester wanted to be recognized for 5 minutes. I recognize the gentlewoman.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And I thank my colleague for his shared interest in ensuring that we restore the resiliency, diversity, security, and strength of critical manufacturing supply chains affecting our nation's national security and economic welfare. And I support the fundamental purpose of your amendment. In fact, it shares many of the same goals as the provisions under consideration: restoring our nation's manufacturing might, strengthening our industrial base, and securing America's technological and industrial sovereignty. I hope to work with you, Mr. Kinzinger, in the future to further address supply chain issues. And with our subtitle, we're providing the Department of Commerce $10 billion for critical manufacturing supply chain mapping and monitoring, facilitating and supporting the establishment of voluntary standards, guidelines, and best practices for protecting critical manufacturing supply chains, identifying, accelerating, promoting, and demonstrating technological advances for critical manufacturing supply chains, and providing grants and other financial assistance to support the resilience, diversity, security, and strength of critical manufacturing supply chains. That's something that I hope all of us can put our support to today in its current form. And again, Mr. Kinzinger, I'm looking forward to working with you as we address these critical issues for our country. I yield back.
Will the gentlelady yield just a little bit of time?
Yes. Yes, Mr. Kinzinger.
Well, thank you. I thank you for that. I thank you for the commitment. We look forward to working on this. This is beyond any kind of a political moment. I mean, I think we can all agree that there's a lot we disagree on. The one thing we should not disagree on is our competition with China. We have a lot of opportunity here. So I thank you for that commitment. I'll yield my time back to you, and I'll be ready to withdraw.
Thank you so much. I will just share with you, even as I traveled my state during the recess, many of the employers that I talked to, many of the small businesses, this is a major issue for us. And we know even as a committee, this is a big issue. So I look forward to working with you as we move forward. Thank you. And I yield back, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Kinzinger.
Mr. Chairman, I'll withdraw my amendment.
All right, Mr. Kinzinger has withdrawn his amendment. Thank you.